Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm April Knight for Sandra Gumansing. 3 men were injured, one of them in critical condition, when 2 vehicles collided in the vicinity of the Seabourn Terminal at Waterfront on St. Thomas. According to police, at about 12:40 a.m. on Sunday, a gray Mitsubishi Endeavor was traveling west on Veterans Drive. At the same time, a white Toyota Corolla was eastbound also on Veterans Drive and made a right turn across traffic, colliding with the Mitsubishi. The victims were rushed to the Schneider Regional Medical Center. The accident knocked down a utility pole and the newly installed signage for the Charles Blair Seaplane Terminal. Meanwhile, the VI government and the government employees' retirement system continue to butt heads over monies the government owes. On one side, officials with GRS say the government owes more than $40 million and the governor refuses to pay. On the other hand, the governor's office says they're willing to pay what they owe outside of lost investments. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
The government's retirement system recently reached a deal with the Water and Power Authority to pay back missing contributions.
2 years ago, WAPA used to deduct employee contributions and use it to pay the bills. Okay? We were behind them. We even threatened them to take them to court. They got current with that.
WAPA paid an undisclosed amount of money to settle that debt, but GERS officials came under fire for what was considered a secret deal.
We just got a big check last week Friday, and we did have an installment for them to pay for the next 12 months. So at least we know we're going to get our money. The reason why we didn't want to disclose this, because we got to deal with Wang Louis.
The St. Croix Hospital is not the only delinquent account. The VI government owes more than $40 million, but NIB says the governor refuses to pay for lost investments like WAPA did in their settlement.
I think it came out publicly. The governor don't want to pay nothing. He doesn't want to pay lost investment. He doesn't want to pay, the delinquency. He doesn't want to pay anything. And he said he wasn't going to sign the agreement.
He told us he signed the agreement, but he wasn't going to pay anything.
He never signed the agreement.
The St. Croix Avis reported that the governor's office said Governor DeYoung had signed an agreement in August, but the retirement system's board rejected it. It would have covered missing employer contributions for employees who retired between October 2010 and December 2013. But the board wanted the government to pay the penalties and interest on the missing contributions and lost investments, something the governor is not willing to do. Government House spokesman John Griot told the Avis it is the government's position that it is unreasonable to require payment of penalties and interest on the unpaid amounts or lost investment to GERS because the system had never informed the government that there were outstanding contributions or the amount of such missing contributions. It's a tug of war, though, that may end up on the legal battlefield.
We have to make a decision. Are we going to do the same thing with the government of the Virgin Islands, to take them to court?
Erica Parsons, News 2.
Students at the Ricardo Richards Elementary School on St. Croix were dismissed early Monday. Parents were seen picking up their children from the school, and buses were waiting on the students who use the mass transportation system. Officials from the Department of Education said a broken water main on the campus was the reason for the early dismissal. Crews had to excavate about 3 feet into the ground to fix it, and they replaced about 50 feet of pipe. No water damage was done to the campus. Students were sent home around 10:30. School will resume normal hours on Tuesday. Governor John DeYoung has directed the transfer of the ownership of the St. John Taxi Stand to the Virgin Islands Port Authority. The stand used to be owned by the St. John Taxi Association. According to the governor, Port Authority has the needed staff on St. John with experience in managing taxis, limousines, and other transportation services. The governor said that the ownership transfer would facilitate Port Authority's ability to issue a request for bids from other taxi associations that may be interested in operating the downtown stand. Meanwhile, the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority has scheduled a road closure for Tuesday, that's November 26th, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the upper hospital ground on St. Thomas. Crews will be laying concrete to repair the roadway that was excavated to install a fire hydrant and an automatic flushing device unit. During the repairs, the roadway from the Bethel Baptist School to the intersection by Bucky's Place will be closed to vehicular traffic, but will be accessible to pedestrians. No water interruption is anticipated during this time, and every effort will be made to restore traffic to this area as soon as possible, according to WAPA. Meanwhile, the wholesale prices at Havenza's truck rack jumped up this week. The prices for regular gas increased by a dime, so retail station owners can expect to pay $3.10 for regular fuel. The price for premium is up by 9 cents, so retail station owners will pay $3.57 at the rack for premium fuel. The price for diesel fuel remained the same, so station owners will pay $3.44. All the prices include the 14-cent tax Havenza collects for the VI government. Those prices are effective from November 25th through Sunday, December 1st. And it was a day of remembrance for the former colleagues, friends, and family of the late Senator Lorraine Barry. Last week, Senate President Sean Michael Malone and Senator Janet Milling Young held a dedication ceremony of the Legislative Annex building, renamed in honor of Senator Barry. Barry was the only senator to have served 12 consecutive terms, served as Senate President twice, and drafted about 400 pieces of legislation.
Senator Barry, before passing on from this earthly life, knew how much she was appreciated, loved, and missed from our local political landscape. Her contributions through legislation and serving as a role model to women throughout the territory were recognized many times over. And so I thought, what would be a meaningful edifice or structure to name after Senator Barry? As I developed the resolution to honor her, I thought, what better place to name after this awesome legislator but the building that houses our legal counsel division.
The rollout for the Affordable Care Act has been bumpy, to say the least, with major hiccups in the healthcare.gov website. Now there are questions about White House statements saying those who get health insurance through their employers won't see any changes. Some workers seem to be depending on their company plans and are learning a hard truth about what's about to happen. Susan McGinnis reports from Washington.
At her office in Virginia Beach, Deborah Fisherix often sneaks a peek at her 3-year-old grandson.
That's my guy.
Deborah is battling kidney cancer.
Susan, there's a duty call.
During the 10 years she's worked at Atkinson Realty, the company has provided group health insurance with manageable premiums.
We were happy. We had great insurance. We had continuing care for our employees.
Great until owner Betsy Atkinson learned the policy would be terminated because it doesn't meet the requirements of the Affordable Care Act.
On June the 30th, 2014, I will probably not be offering company insurance for my employees. I just can't afford it.
Administration records show the White House expected millions of workers to lose their current employer-based coverage and that many companies would send employees to healthcare.gov to buy their own insurance. Deborah has scoured the website for a new policy. So far, she can't afford the premiums.
They just go up higher and higher when there is a pre-existing. Will I have my same specialist? Do I have to search for other specialists? There's so many unanswered questions.
Deborah hopes she'll eventually find a plan that fits her budget so she can still make trips to Indiana to visit her grandson.
If I couldn't go to see him, that's the worst.
Susan McGinnis, CBS News, Washington.
And keeping our eye on the economy, despite signs that the economy is improving, some big store chains, including Walmart and Kohl's, don't expect holiday shoppers to spend unless they see big sales. That's part of the reason you're seeing those great deals earlier this year, as well as promises to match other retailers' prices. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. The Dow up 7, NASDAQ up by 3, S&P down by 2. Coming up on News 2, a good deed by a Catholic organization that fed many homeless people, and a grand cultural musical affair is slated for January. We'll be right back. The Senate's Legislative Youth Advisory Council was recently named and convened for the first time last week. The council's advisor, Senator Terrence Nelson, held a conference Saturday for the young group who are representative of the territory. Nelson gave advice on the committees they would be forming. He also talked to them about the importance of selecting a chair, since that is a person who would represent the entire body.
This is a very important day. It is a very important day because I'm feeling sincerely in my heart that this is one of the most essential tasks, accomplishments being made by this legislature. You may not see it yet, but you are about to embark on an empowering movement, not only for yourselves, but for your peers, your classmates, your friends, the people of your generation.
The United States Virgin Islands Blue Flag beaches and marinas are on par with the best beaches and marinas in the world. The Blue Flag is an international award given to beaches and marinas that meet the standard of excellence in the areas of safety, amenities, cleanliness, environmental information, and management. On St. Croix, the Palms at Pelican Cove have been awarded for the third year, and the Green Key Marina for the second year. On St. John, Trunk Bay was awarded for the third year, and Cinnamon Bay for the second year as well. And on St. Thomas, both Lindbergh Bay and Great Bay were awarded for the third year, and Crown Bay Marina took home an award for the second year. Meanwhile, the 5th annual Reef Fest held at Coral World on Saturday drew more than 300 people who learned about marine life and reef conservancy. The annual Reef Fest is an initiative of the University of the Virgin Islands and sponsors with aims to draw attention to coral reefs and how they are affected by human activity. Children and adults were exposed to educational lectures by UVI faculty and staff and the Nature Conservancy. There were also marine animal encounters, marine-themed games, and even a raffle, all in the spirit of environmental education. Well, Thanksgiving is approaching, and it is important to remember those who are less fortunate. Several organizations will be out and about in the community giving back to those in need, and one organization in particular will be catering to the less fortunate on all 3 islands. News2's Shaniqua Robinson has details.
Thanksgiving is soon approaching, and many organizations, such as Catholic Charities of the Virgin Islands, are ready to give back to the community.
Catholic Charities is a non-profit agency. We have been serving the Virgin Islands, the entire territory, for over 51 years. Our main purpose is to serve the homeless and the underserved in the territory.
The Catholic Charities nonprofit organization is located on all 3 Virgin Islands and includes the Bethlehem Shelter, soup kitchens, and a mobile outreach program. With Thanksgiving soon approaching, the organization decided to feed the homeless and less fortunate, but decided to do so several days throughout the week.
About 3 years ago, we decided that we would not serve our Thanksgiving lunch on Thanksgiving Day because on that day, there are so many other people wanting to serve a meal to the homeless. And then on Friday and Saturday, they are left hungry. So this, about 3 years ago, I think it was, we decided that we will do our Thanksgiving lunch on the Saturday.
The Catholic Charities organization will be serving Thanksgiving lunch on the following days: on St. John on Tuesday, November 26th, on St. Croix on Wednesday, November 27th, and on St. Thomas on Saturday, November 30th.
Anybody in the public who really doesn't have a meal on that day is invited, welcome to come to Bethlehem House Shelter, where you will be provided with a real sumptuous Thanksgiving dinner.
Shaniqua Robinson reporting for News2.
Catholic Charities will be hosting a food drive both on St. Thomas and St. Croix on Saturday, December 14th. Volunteers are needed, and if you're interested, call 777-8518 on St. Thomas and 773-0132 on St. Croix for more information. A quick reminder to our viewers, News2 will be preempted on the following dates. On Thursday, November 28th, we will be airing NFL on CBS. And on Friday, November 29th, it's the Paradise Jam Women's Preview Show. Again, News2 will not air on November 28th and November 29th. Regular newscast will resume on Monday, December 2nd. A series of musical events slated for January will recognize Virgin Islands musicians and raise funds for musical education in the territory. The event was announced by Senators Sean Michael Malone and Clifford Graham on Friday. A grand cultural musical affair will include educational workshops on St. Thomas and St. Croix and will culminate in a January 26th jazz concert featuring renowned drummer and VI native Dion Parson and the 21st Century Band. Well, stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.